Today, I want to talk to you about something that may be lurking in your environment and wreaking havoc on your health that often goes unnoticed and overlooked by both conventional medicine and holistic providers, but is a very common trigger of mast cell activation syndrome and histamine intolerance that I see with clients in my functional health practice every single day. And it's something that I have been through hell and back with in my own personal health journey. I'm talking about toxic mold and the dangerous mycotoxins it releases into the air we breathe. So if you've been dealing with chronic health issues and mystery symptoms that you just haven't been able to resolve, keep watching because toxic mold may be the culprit. I'm Tammy Anderson, functional health expert and coach, and I'm here to help you figure out and fix underlying causes of your chronic health issues. So let me just share a quick personal story with you about my own personal experience with toxic mold. I've actually had many experiences during my lifetime with toxic mold, but this one was particularly devastating. So a few years ago, I went on a 12-night Greek cruise out of Barcelona with my two young adult boys, and what was supposed to have been a dream vacation turned into an absolute nightmare. So I woke up in the morning after my first night on the ship with a runny nose and sneezing and like this persistent tickling cough. And, it just seemed like cold symptoms at first. So I thought I was just a little run down after trying to keep up with my two young adult boys in Barcelona for the 3 days leading up to the cruise. So you can imagine what that involved. And, I just thought I was a little sleep deprived. So I just doubled down on the vitamin C and then I just kind of went about my day. But my symptoms got progressively worse each day during the cruise. And I started to notice that they were remarkably worse when I was on the ship versus when I was off the ship in a port. And especially when I was in my stateroom, the symptoms were really bad there. So after a couple of days, I started to suspect that I was dealing with toxic mold. And on about day 4 of my suspicion was confirmed when I saw a crew of workers replacing bubbled, water-damaged carpet in a large area 4 floors directly above my stateroom. So the toxic mold was already there from the water damage, and the carpet being torn up just liberated trillions of mold spores into the air system of the ship. And for someone like myself who doesn't detoxify easily from mold, making me super susceptible to mold illness, that ship literally became my living hell. So by the end of that 12-night cruise, I was like a zombie from The Walking Dead. I hadn't slept more than 2 broken hours in 12 nights. I couldn't speak more than 2 words without coughing my lungs out. I was experiencing severe air hunger, meaning like I didn't feel like I could get a full breath in. I had developed pneumonia, I had a double ear infection, a severe sinus infection, debilitating brain fog and fatigue. My vision was blurry, so I was bumping into things. I was so desperate to get off that ship, and I felt so helpless and trapped because I literally couldn't escape what was making me sick. Fortunately for me, I had dealt with mold illness in the past, and I work with clients who have mold illness. So I knew exactly what was going on, and I knew how to detox from the mold once I was off the ship and had control over my environment again. But I did learn a very hard lesson about being prepared for exposure when traveling. And trust me, I'm not going to make that mistake ever again. So mold illness is a real thing, and it's way more common than you might think. It's a huge trigger for mast cell activation syndrome and histamine intolerance. And it's one of the reasons why I see so many clients who have tried so many different things and so many different supplements and have done all the diets. They've done paleo and carnivore, and they're just not getting better. The truth is that you simply cannot perfect diet your way out of mold illness or other infections for that matter. So mold exposure can come from foods that you're eating, but really high levels of mold in the body typically occurs from water damaged buildings where moisture provides the perfect environment for mold growth. And by the way, just like on my cruise ship, these mold spores and often the source of the mold are not visible to the naked eye. So a common myth is that if mold is there, you're going to see it or smell it, but this just isn't always the case. And to take it one step further, the mold that is affecting your health today might not even be from a current mold exposure. So if you've been dealing with unexplained health issues for years, mold might be at least one of your big smoking guns, even if you don't have a current mold exposure. And this is because about 25% of the population have genetic variations or polymorphisms that can affect the activity of the CYP450 enzyme. And this enzyme plays a really crucial role in detoxing mycotoxins in the liver. And as a result of this deficiency, breaking down and eliminating mycotoxins takes much longer, and the person essentially becomes a mold factory, making them much more susceptible to mold illness. So these people are like the canaries in the coal mine. These are the people who become affected by mold right away, and they're also the ones that stay sick longer. So mold exposure could be in your workplace, your home, your car. It could have, the exposure could have been in a college dorm room that you lived in 20 years ago, or even a classroom that you sat in as a kid. And these mycotoxins can even be passed through the placenta in utero from the mother to the baby. I see a lot of very young, sick kids in my practice who have the exact same mycotoxins as their moms show up on their mycotoxin panel, even when there's not a current mold exposure. So before I dig more into mycotoxins, the symptoms they can cause, and how they can trigger histamine intolerance and MCAS, or mast cell activation syndrome, if you're ready to dive deeper into understanding and fixing the underlying causes of histamine intolerance and MCAS, I'd like to invite you to grab access to my free video training, which you can access through the link in the description below this video. All right, so mycotoxins are toxic compounds produced by various mold species as a defense mechanism that they use to compete with other microorganisms in the environment for their survival. So these mycotoxins are then released by the mold and become airborne, and then we inhale them and absorb them through our skin, and they can wreak havoc on our health. They trigger a whole cascade of health issues and cause symptoms in virtually every system of the body. So some of the common symptoms that you might experience with mold illness can include respiratory issues like coughing and wheezing and shortness of breath, the development of asthma and sinus issues, allergy-like symptoms like itching, rashes, itchy, watery eyes, a runny nose, or sneezing. It could be neurological symptoms, which can include headaches, dizziness, difficulty concentrating, brain fog, memory issues, word loss, mood swings, anxiety, depression, and even neurological disorders. Symptoms could include chronic fatigue, weakness, and just like zero energy. And since mycotoxins can damage the GI tract, GI issues are common. I see that in a lot of my clients. And these can include symptoms like abdominal pain, nausea and vomiting, and changes in bowel habits. Skin symptoms are also common, and these can include rashes, hives, and itching. Conditions like eczema and rosacea are common. Mycotoxins wreak havoc on our immune system. This can lead to immune system dysregulation and increased susceptibility to infections and exacerbation of already existing immune-related conditions. Mycotoxins can also cause joint and muscle aches and pains, tinnitus or ringing of the ears, numbness and tingling in the extremities. It can cause sleep disturbances and hormone imbalances and even reproductive health. I've had multiple clients who have come to me after having trouble with conceiving. We run a mycotoxin panel and an organic acids test on her, the mom, and oftentimes her partner And then we discovered that one or both of them are loaded with mycotoxins. So we work on getting those mycotoxins cleaned up, and then 6 months down the road, she's pregnant. So some mycotoxins are also nephrotoxic, meaning they damage the kidneys. And often this correlates with increased urinary urgency, and my clients often report needing to get up multiple times during the night to pee. So they're not getting good sleep because they're having to get up and pee all night. And then some mycotoxins have even been shown to be cancer causing. So mycotoxins are no joke. All right, now let's talk about how these mycotoxins can trigger a condition called mast cell activation syndrome and excess histamine buildup in the body, which leads to a whole lot of misery. And you probably already know this if that's something that you're dealing with. So mast cells are an integral part of our immune system, and under normal circumstances, they play a role in defending the body against threats. The mast cells are filled with several chemical mediators, and one of those is histamine, and they are involved in inflammatory reactions in the body. So when we're exposed to mycotoxins, your mast cells basically go into hyper overdrive, and they start releasing their contents vicariously. And when that happens, they do something called degranulation, which is when they break open and release their contents in larger amounts or just randomly. And this leads to excess histamine and other inflammatory substances in the body. And when the body's ability to break histamine down and get rid of it or eliminate it from the body is impaired, that leads to a condition called histamine intolerance, which causes a wide range of symptoms throughout the body. And many of these symptoms, by the way, are the same as mold symptoms. So it can be very confusing as to what is causing what. So then how do you know if you're dealing with mold illness? Earlier in the video, I gave you a list of common symptoms, but again, here are some telltale signs to watch out for. These can be persistent fatigue, like crushing fatigue, brain fog, respiratory problems, skin rashes, unexplained headaches, gastrointestinal issues, night sweats, increased urinary urgency, especially needing to get up in the middle of the night multiple times to pee. So if you've been experiencing a lot of mystery symptoms and your doctors and other practitioners seem stupefied, it's because most of them don't have adequate knowledge about mold illness or how to treat it. And oftentimes they will poo-poo your symptoms and tell you that it's all in your head. And oftentimes doctors are just prescribing medications that only mask the symptoms that you come in complaining about, or you end up on an anxiety medication if they think it's all in your head. And then these medications just cause deeper problems down the road. And all the while, the underlying causes of the symptoms just continue to get worse. So in my virtual functional practice, I have almost every one of my clients run a mycotoxin panel and an organic acids test to assess for mold. And I would say that mold is an issue in probably about 90% of them. So if you suspect that mold might be a culprit driving your mystery health issues, here are a few things that you can do to start moving the needle in the right direction. First, you want to assess your environment. If you suspect that you may have a current mold exposure or water damage, get a professional inspection of your home or workplace. And be sure to do your homework on mold inspectors and remediators so that you're getting someone who really knows what they're doing. Do your research first. I can't emphasize that strongly enough. Ask a lot of questions. And I say this because I've worked with many clients who have told me nightmare stories about shoddy remediation people that have come in and just created a bigger nightmare for them. So don't let that happen to you. If you do have mold in your current living situation, you either need to find a way to get out of that living situation or get the mold remediated. And if necessary, find a safe place to live while that remediation is taking place. And listen, I know this is really tough news, but it's necessary. If we go back to my cruise ship story from the beginning of this video, it's a reminder you really can't heal in the environment that's making you sick. I had to get off that cruise ship in order to get better. In the meantime, it would be a good idea to burn some EC3 air purification candles for 1 to 2 hours every other day. And these candles contain a blend of citrus essential oils that kill mold spores. I'm going to have these linked in the description below this video, so you can grab those there. The same company also makes an effective laundry additive and mold spray for cleaning household items and surfaces. And this will at least help to keep mold spores at bay while you're working on the bigger issue. All right, next you're definitely going to want to optimize your immune system and take care of your gut. You can do this by eating a nutrient-dense, whole food, animal-based diet, minimizing high histamine foods, and eliminating gluten, grains, and seed oils to reduce inflammation as much as possible. You're going to want to move your body frequently to keep your lymphatics and bowels moving. Drink plenty of filtered water and manage your stress levels. And down in the description below this video, I will have a link to my gut repair protocol. You're going to want to invest in a high quality air purifier such as the IQ Air or the Austin Air HealthMate Plus, or an air doctor to remove mold and other toxins from the air. There are many different types of air purifiers on the market today, and believe me, not all of them are created equal. You don't want to waste your money on something that's not going to be effective at taking mold toxins out of the air, or may even be making your air quality worse. So purchasing one can be really, really confusing. These are 3 brands that I know and trust, and I will have those linked in the description below this video. You're also going to want to support your detoxification and drainage organs. You want to support your liver and kidneys with herbs like milk thistle, dandelion, burdock, and beetroot. And I'll link a formula I really like in the description below the video as well. And you may want to incorporate a good broad spectrum binder such as GI Detox to help eliminate mycotoxins and other toxins from the body. And again, if you're ready to finally get to the bottom of your health issues and fix all the underlying causes of histamine intolerance and MCAS, I want to remind you to grab access to my free video training, which you can access through the link in the description below this video. And towards the end of that video training, I'm going to invite you to enroll in the Histamine Solution Academy, where I'm going to teach you and guide you step by step, in depth, how to fix all the root causes by practicing functional medicine on yourself and at a fraction of the cost of working one-on-one with a functional practitioner like myself. And I want you to be sure to check out my video, Is Histamine Causing Your Mystery Symptoms? It is a must watch for anyone dealing with unexplained symptoms. So I'll see you in that next video.